We are polluting lakes, polluting rivers. And in some parts of the world, we have what is called acid rain. And that is where the rain that naturally should sustain life actually is carrying poison and carrying acid. And it's actually impacting upon the environment itself. And so we are living in a greenhouse effect. We have destroyed the ozone layer with our pollution, ultraviolet rays pouring in, living in a type of greenhouse. Everything is heating up. And despite what some skeptics have said, there's overwhelming evidence now that this climatic change that we are going through has actually gone past predictions. And we have reached the point where we are actually like a sleigh, or like a ball of snow heading down. It's getting bigger and bigger, and it's going faster and faster. And because of this, in the past few years, and you probably have noticed this, that you know, not only here, or not only in Bangladesh with the floods, or in the United States with the cold, and tsunamis happening in Southeast Asia, but what is happening, which is so frightening now, is that the major crises that we are facing as a human race are usually described as the worst flood in living memory, or the coldest temperatures in living memory. I remember a few years ago, I was here in London, it was in August, I believe, and we had temperatures here that it was so hot that it was like the hottest day in living memory. It was breaking all types of records. And this is what is going on. Hurricanes are happening. Major seismic changes going on the planet. Earthquakes. And so we are experiencing extreme environmental changes. And so it is crucial for people in general, and I'm not just speaking to Muslims, but people in general, to now wake up and realize that this is the greatest crisis that we are facing right now as a human race. Some years ago, there was a group called the World Watch Institute in Washington, D.C., and they were asked to do a study about what is the most threatening thing, to Western society. And people may have thought that they would talk about terrorists or fundamentalists, or what is the most dangerous element. But actually, their result was it's the environment. The environment itself is the number one challenge that we have to face. And if we don't come to grips with ourselves in terms of the carbon dioxide emissions, the pollutions, the destruction of the ecosystems, if we don't come to grips with this, then we will be facing crises which will change our relationships forever. And this whole discussion, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, when a wave comes, when a tsunami strikes, it doesn't strike one race or one religion, it strikes everybody. And so, for Muslims in particular, it is important for us to go back to our sources. Whenever we're faced with a crisis, we will go back to the Quran, we will go back to the book of scriptures, the final testament, to see what it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Creator, has said concerning this. And what did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, how would they have dealt with something like this? What is their understanding of something like this? And it's interesting to find that in the chapter called Rome, Surah Rum, in verse 41, Allah Azza wa Jal tells us, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. Allah tells us corruption has appeared on the land and the sea because of what humanity has done. And we will make them taste something of what they have earned in order that they would return to the path. So, this is an interesting verse, and the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, they looked at certain elements in this, and one element was fasad, the word fasad. And this is defined by some of the great mufassirin as khuruj al-shay' an al-i'tidal, qalilan or kathiran. That means that when you go away from i'tidal, which is balance, when you become unbalanced, then this makes a corruption, a type of mischief. So it's not corruption in the sense of something just, a banana which is becoming rotten. It means any time you go away from the natural balance in the environment or in the world that we're living in, then you can cause a type of fasad or a type of corruption. And when they looked at al-fasad fil bar, because the verse is saying that corruption has appeared on the land and the sea. I was surprised to see that the companions of the Prophet Muhammad 1400 years ago, that when they are looking at that, they were talking about the fact that this corruption on the land could be described in some case as inqita' al-matar, that the rain would stop, that there would be a decrease in vegetation, that because of the sins of Bani Adam, because of the sins of human beings, because of going off the path, that there would be this decrease and there would be an impact on the environment itself. When they spoke about al-fasad fil bahr, and this is corruption in the sea, they spoke about the fact that there would be a decrease in fish, that the fish would actually decrease, and that pollution coming into the oceans itself. And so it was interesting to note that even 1400 years ago, that they were discussing issues like this, which in our language is interpreted as the language of people who are trying to save the environment, who are looking at the actions of people, what we are doing, and how it impacts on the environment. Human beings moving into the area, cutting, bulldozing, destroying, having no regard, for life itself, and then the result, the reaction that comes from the earth itself. Now, the verse says that we will make them taste, and this is interesting too, because it says, لِيُذِيقَهُمْ بَعْضَ الَّذِي عَمِلُوا, and though they will taste something of what they have done. And literally, with acid rain, and with the pollutions coming through, our vegetation, and our wildlife, we are literally tasting this. I remember coming to London some years ago, and they were talking about mad cow disease. And some people thought, well, maybe, are the cows gone crazy? It wasn't the cows, it was people. Because by feeding cows meat products, and going against the natural system of the cow, this is the concept of fasad. This is khuruj al-i'tidal. So you try to make, an animal, which is a herbivore, eats vegetables, a carnivore. And so there's a reaction that comes from that. And so you will see it in many of the industries now, that the people are more concerned with production, concerned with wealth, than they are with the very food that they are producing. And this is important for us, because the Quran tells us that when it speaks about halal, it tells us halalan tayyiba. It speaks about that you should eat from the earth, kulu ma fil ardi halalan tayyiban wa la tattabi'u khutuwat ash-shaytan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. It says, eat from the earth that which is permissible, halal, like kosher, halal, and wholesome. And do not follow the footsteps of the evil one, for he is an open enemy to human beings. He is your open enemy. And so the Quran says, eat that which is from the earth, halalan tayyiba. So it's not just halal. And some people will eat halal food, and in some parts of the world, in our community in South Africa, the Muslims actually suffer from diabetes and heart attacks. You say, why would Muslims be suffering from heart attacks?